Hi, my name is Aaron Anderson. I am a internship coordinator at the University of North Texas Career Center, and I'm here today to deliver a presentation called Adapt and Excel, a COVID-19 Guide to Career Prep Under Quarantine. It's no secret that we're all facing some pretty uncertain times now, and this presentation is designed to give you some coping strategies, some ideas about what you can be doing during the current shelter at home restrictions to be in a better spot to pursue the internships or careers that you want once the pandemic has subsided. The first thing that we need to do is everybody needs to realize and accept that the current circumstances are beyond anyone's control. Nobody planned for this. Nobody had a plan in place for if something like this were to occur. This is a completely unprecedented event in the history of our country. So we're all just doing the best that we can. One thing that I'd like to point out, and it's really challenging to wrap your mind around, is that living in a state of panic is only going to make things worse. It's only going to add to your stress level, the amount of sleepless nights that you have. I know there are countless things to be concerned about, from canceled internship experiences to sort of a down job market to just your health and safety of yourself and your family. But we have to try to find a way to not dwell in those thoughts and find ways where we could be productive and sort of get in a better headspace. One thing that may help with that is remembering that everyone is in this together. And typically when people say that, it's a small group, like a classroom or a group project. But in this situation, literally, it's the entire world. Every college student in America is probably facing similar situations. If you had an internship canceled, you're in no way the only one. So this is sort of a shared challenge that we all face. And I think it can be empowering to think about it in that way. The other thing that's good to remember is that UNT faculty and staff are here to help you find creative solutions, whether it be job market issues, whether it be lost credit hours for your internship. We are all focusing almost solely at this point on how to help students move forward in this trying situation. And it's not just us, it's every college across America. The faculty, staff, and administration are all working on finding solutions to these problems. And we're communicating in real time and sharing what things work and what don't work. So you literally have an army of university employees behind you trying to help you move forward during this time. It's also important to emphasize kindness and patience in all your daily interactions. When people are already stressed, it sometimes doesn't take much to push them sort of over the edge. And that's not something we want to do. We don't want to add to people's stress levels. It will be really impressive to others when you interact with them and you're patient, you're kind, you show them a little bit of grace. They'll think that you're a really well collected and composed individual. And that's going to serve you well in terms of making a professional network, people that you know that you can go to with questions or with problems. Accepting the new reality is something that we just don't really have much of a choice on. These are the cards that we've been dealt. This is the situation that we find ourselves in. We can talk about how it's unfair and how it's unpleasant, or how we're bored staying at home. We'd rather go, to the park or to a baseball game, but those are not realities that we have right now. So it's best to think about what we can do in our real lives and accept that we have limitations and find ways to work within those limitations. We're also going to talk today about some ways that you can prepare for the eventual return to normal. I have normal in quotation marks because we don't know exactly what that will be. The odds are that the way jobs are, completed or conducted, the way hiring is completed or conducted, it may look a little bit different on the other side of this, whenever that may be. So there are some things that you can do that we'll talk about briefly to prepare for what that normal is going to be. One of the biggest questions that students are asking us right now, one of the biggest concerns that they have, are the fact that so many internships were suspended or altogether canceled in the middle of the spring semester. There's also a lot of uncertainty about internships that had been set up or that they had already been hired for the summer. Nobody knows really what's going to happen to them, and people that were mid-internship, especially if they were taking them for course credit, they have a lot of concerns about how they're going to get that credit, what's going to happen in those situations. So the first piece of advice that I would give students in that situation is to discuss their options with their internship coordinator or the professor that manages the 4-credit internship course for their major. They're going to be the ones that make the decisions. The internship coordinators at the Career Center can help you with job searches, polishing your application materials, but we don't have the power to make the decisions on behalf of the colleges. So in order to get those answers, you're really going to want to talk to the internship coordinator embedded within your college or the faculty member who runs that internship course for your college or major. They're going to be the ones deciding what the new policies will be moving forward or how they're going to respond to canceled experiences. One suggestion that you might make, or one option that you may discuss with your internship supervisor, would be whether or not your internship can be converted to a virtual experience. That sort of transition lends itself to some industries better than others. Obviously, if you're in the hospitality industry or tourism, sometimes those virtual experiences won't work quite as well, but there are certain things that you can do from home. Like publishing, editing, probably content generation for like a marketing internship. Some of those things can be pivoted to where you work remotely. And the positive thing that students who had their internships suspended mid-semester, the one thing that they have working for them is that they had already started that internship and been trained on what their daily job duties were, how to do their jobs. So it should make for an easier transition into telecommuting. Another option to think about would be trying to see if some combination of case studies or research projects could make up for the lost hours from your internship. You would need to, again, talk to your internship coordinator or the professor who manages that internship course. But that's one popular topic among other career services programs in the United States and other internship courses, is trying to see if there is some work that would maybe replicate what you would learn or gain in that internship that you can do on your own or in conjunction with a professor that might make up for that. For people who are looking at internships in the summer and aren't sure whether those are going to go on, it may be a good idea to see if, again, you can enroll in a special problems course with a professor, or where you would do some research or some case studies, or again, work that would replicate the knowledge that you would gain or would have gained in your internship experience. So those are some topics being discussed, in the internship community. Another option is to consider micro internships. Those are smaller internships. Sometimes they can be done virtually or online as well. And that's not where one micro internship will replace your whole experience, but you might be able to string a couple of them together and replace what you would have gained during a full semester or a summer internship. And that's something that the UNT Career Center is investigating right now. We hope to have more information on that moving forward. It's also important to, again, remember that the UNT faculty and staff are invested in your success. The people that run the internship programs on campus, they don't want you to lose out in the middle of it. They don't want an entire class worth of students not to get their credit. They want to find solutions, and they're working very hard on finding those solutions right now. So again, be professional and polite in your communication with them. Understand that they have not just one student, but many students who are in a similar situation, and they're trying to help all of you to the best of their abilities. Hiring freezes are another source of, supreme concern with students, especially students who are nearing graduation, students who are set to graduate in May or potentially graduate in August, and to an extent, even students who are going to graduate in December of 2020. There's just uncertainty, and it's not a very comforting time to be entering the job market. So we'll talk about that here, and we're going to be completely honest. The job market is not ideal at the moment for job seekers. Your negotiating power is going to be diminished. there's probably going to be kind of an out of proportion ratio of job seekers to available opportunities. One of the things that I've read is that if you don't absolutely need to be looking for a job right now, then maybe you should put it off. That having a job or where you're working now may be your best option. That's not, workable for some students who are finishing up school and need something, but it may be a situation where you have to balance. Do I want to go out and take whatever full-time job I can be offered, or do I want to bide my time where I'm at, even if it's a part-time job, for a little while and see if I can get a better opportunity down the road? So those are questions that you should ask yourself. In the event that you do go on the job market, you can expect that job search to take longer than anticipated. Again, this is probably not what you want to hear, or this is not the news that will make you happy, but part of being prepared is to be realistic. And if you know that it's going to take longer to find a job than you expected, you can account for that in your planning. So expect it to take anywhere from 50% longer than you expected to maybe twice as long as you expected. It's really uncertain right now, and that has companies in a holding pattern. Part of the reason they're in that holding pattern is they still don't have a clear idea of how long they'll be affected and when things will return to normal. Everybody is still highly processing the situation that we're in and trying to figure out what they can do. Just know that the companies don't want to go without interns. They don't want to go out without new workers. These are people that they had planned to have as part of their, corporate efforts. And if they don't have that, that means there's more work for the people that they currently employ. And that's not part of their plan. That's not ideal for them. So again, be graceful and patient and know that the companies are trying to figure this out as quickly as they possibly can. Some industries, on the bright side, may actually need an influx of workers to meet the unique demands of our current situation. We'll talk about some of those industries shortly, but it's a good time to be doing your career research to see where there are trends of hiring spikes during the pandemic, and that may be an idea of where you might want to shift if possible. And if you decide to make such a shift, you're going to want to talk to yourself or talk to advisors or professors about how your skills can translate to the career fields that are seeking employees right now, because you don't want to make a move if you're not legitimately qualified to move into that industry. The trick to navigating, the professional job market or the search for internships during the pandemic is going to be research and identifying which industries are on hold right now and which industries are on the rise. On hold, there are some obvious industries that you would probably think about and know without doing any research. The restaurant and hospitality industry is really being affected right now. Airlines are really being affected. Anything tourism is down. Large scale events, concert venues, theme parks, trade shows, baseball games, professional sporting events, these are all canceled. Film production is also really suffering at the moment. A lot of the summer blockbuster season looks as though it might be canceled. Even if the movie's done and shot, they're not going to release it. When people can't go to movie theaters, that's going to be, a real problem for studios. Some of those films you're already seeing being converted to Amazon digital cinema releases. So on that note, we want to look at the things that are actually on the rise. Healthcare all across the board, whether it's nursing, doctors, phlebotomists, people who process tests in laboratories, people with laboratory skills in general, pharmaceutical companies who will be working on potential treatments and vaccines for COVID-19. And beyond that, just the simple continued production of over-the-counter cold and flu medicines that may be able to sort of diminish or ease some of the symptoms a little bit. Those are all still going to be incredibly in demand. IT is going to be huge as we see so many industries shift to telecommuting and working remotely. They're going to need qualified professionals in that industry. As I mentioned earlier, some things are going to be pivoting to Amazon, like summer blockbuster movies. So they're going to need people to handle strategy. They're going to probably be experiencing increased traffic. And then obviously grocery stores. That is probably the most in-demand industry we have right now. People need to get groceries and supplies because they can't leave the house. They can't go anywhere. They're eating all of their meals at home. They need food to do that. So these are, the things that you want to consider when you look at where you're potentially applying to and whether or not you may potentially want to switch from your current career path to a different one. Now, I think it's important to talk about some things that you can do while we're in a state of quarantine or shelter at home to help better prepare you for the job market when we return to some semblance of normality. Do your research, identify potential growth industries, read the Wall Street Journal, check out the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics websites to see if you can spot trends in industries or hiring. Honestly assess how your current academic training or professional experience translates to those industries that are growing, that may be experiencing somewhat of a boom, or at the very least, continuing without any sort of recession. Consider relevant summer courses for students who have had their internships for the summer canceled, or they're in sort of a state of flux right now and nobody's sure whether they're going to exist or not. So if you were taking an internship course and you were going to get credit for it, see if there's an online summer course or a summer class that you've been interested in taking that may be able to replace those internship hours. You could also see if there's relevant coursework that would support you if you decided to pivot to a new industry. It would also be a wise idea to talk to faculty mentors or partners and see about research opportunities. It doesn't just have to be for course credit. You may see how your community is reacting to being quarantined, and you may find that there's a really interesting research project that applies to your study, to your course of study. Psychology students, sociology students, I would think even anthropology students would be able to work out really interesting, really fascinating research projects that are going to deal with the effects of quarantine and how people responded to it. That would go, I think, across the board in just about any major or college at UNT. So that may be another good way to make up for any credit that you had planned to get through an internship. It would be a great time to improve your telecommuting skills. As we've talked about already, Zoom is going to be huge moving forward. And I would be very surprised if there weren't a lasting effect on the way that we do business even after things have returned to normal. I think that some employees are going to really take to telecommuting and want to stay in that and look for jobs that will allow them to have that opportunity. And I think that there are some businesses that will probably realize that it may be fiscally advantageous for them to allow individuals to work remotely as opposed to maintaining large office spaces. That's hypothetical at this point, but it would be best to be over-prepared than to be under-prepared. You can pursue applicable online certifications if you're working part-time on campus in IT right now, or if you've had an interest in that, I would look for certifications that can make you more valuable, because that could lead to a job very quickly. You can also utilize UNT Career Center virtual programming. We've shifted a lot of our efforts to things that can be accessed by students online and after hours. So we're going to be doing a lot of COVID-related programming, a lot of programming related to hiring and the hiring process, and it's all going to be, legitimately at your fingertips. And then LinkedIn Learning can also help enhance your professional skill set. There's a lot of training available there, and beefing up your LinkedIn page will just be beneficial to you in the long run, regardless. One of the most important ways that you can use your time during our current situation is to prepare yourself for what comes next. So in this case, we're going to talk about being prepared to apply for jobs, or being prepared for the moment that hiring resumes as normal. And so here's a few things you can do there. Would take some time to familiarize yourself with job descriptions and the required skills for the internships or full-time positions you plan to pursue. Knowing what those skills are that they require, knowing what those jobs do, it allows you to take stock of what skills you have and what you're capable of doing currently. And if there's something that you're missing, this is a perfect time to try to add that to your toolkit. Building an online portfolio is also an excellent use of your time. It allows you to showcase your relevant experiences, your completed projects, your professional skills, or any certifications that you may have. Squarespace and Wix are popular with designers and artists. And I'm told that GitHub is very popular with engineering students because it allows them to show off their coding acumen. Having polished resumes and cover letters ready, that's not just a suggestion. That's pretty much absolute. You need to have those ready because the minute that they turn the switch back on and they start hiring and scheduling interviews again, you want to be at the top of that pile and not at the bottom of that pile of applicants. Prove your virtual networking skills by developing your LinkedIn profile. Now is a great time to be making connections, even if you're just reaching out to people and asking them questions, being respectful, saying, hey, I know that everything is kind of shut down right now, but I'm curious about moving into this field in the future. What steps would you encourage me to take to really be prepared for the jobs to reopen, to be a really qualified candidate to potentially join your organization? Reach out to people like that. That's all we can do right now, is to communicate and share knowledge and advice. And so that would be a highly beneficial use of your time. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're missing a vital skill set, there's some part of the job that you hope to get that you're unsure of or would like to strengthen your skills in that area a little bit, now is the time to do it. While we all may be facing personal challenges or stresses related to employment and internships and the job market, it's important to really consider the community that you are a part of during the pandemic. There's a lot at stake for a lot of people that goes beyond simply employment or job opportunities. And that's not to minimize those. There's a lot of people that are without work right now, and that's a nearly impossible situation. But you need to make sure that you take steps to ensure your personal health and safety, as well as the health of those in your community. It's important to adhere to social distancing guidelines, and I would recommend regularly checking the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website for updates on, when it's safe to venture back into the world or how you should be protecting yourself and your family. Where you are able, do your part to improve community processes or help those in need. I've seen a lot of that on Facebook groups or, the neighborhood apps on your mobile phone where people are looking out for elderly or immunocompromised citizens. Those are things that can not only make a world of difference to the person that you're able to help, but they can give you some sense of peace or having contributed at a time when you're maybe not able to work or go to school the way that you used to be able to. So you would be surprised at how therapeutic that can be for all parties involved. Keep in mind that when companies start hiring again, I would be surprised if what did you do while quarantined didn't become a regular question on applications. So you're going to need a more substantial answer than binge watch Netflix. What will impress them is your creativity, the ways that you found to contribute to the greater good of your community or prepare for a future that might be different than you expected. Showing that you're creative, that you have a mind that enjoys looking at challenges and finding ways to overcome them, problem solving, somebody, again, that's invested in their community and other people. Those are going to be really impressive answers on job interviews, during job interviews. And I would be really shocked if that question didn't become a staple of interviews. Even if it's just something where you organized a toilet paper drive so people that weren't able to get out of their house and weren't able to stock up on basic necessities before panic set in and everybody wiped out the grocery stores. Things like that, showing that you're a problem solver and that you care about other people. Those are impressive things. And that's really all that we can be doing right now, is trying to take care of each other and get us all through this as safely and as quickly as possible. Currently, everything that we expected to be happening a month down the road, 2 months down the road, 3 months down the road is basically on hold right now. And that can be overwhelming and daunting if you think of it as, oh my gosh, everything is stopping. I don't know what to do moving forward. or you can take it as an opportunity for some reflection and potentially some reinvention. Now would be a great time to carefully consider the academic and professional choices that you've made so far in your life. Is this really the path that you want to be on? Are you so excited to start work and just can't wait to get your career started? Or are you sort of dreading it and wishing that college would go on a little bit longer? Now is the time to think about those things. No one is completely certain how long this will last or exactly what the future will look like. So any career-related research that you can do right now cannot be overvalued. It's just preparing you more for what the job market will look like 6, 12, 18 months down the road. That's not to suggest that this goes on that long, but the shock waves from it will continue to be felt for that long, and how things will change in that amount of time. So research, identifying trends, these are going to be important things. If you're experiencing any uncertainty regarding your current career path, now would be a time to adjust it or maybe diversify your skill set so that you have multiple avenues open to you. Now is not a great time to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to have a widely varied skill set that will allow you to pursue many different opportunities. This is definitely a unique opportunity to ensure that you're on track for the career that you really want. That's what internships are designed to do, as much as they are to teach you what a job is and how to do it. It's an opportunity for you to try a job on. And so you're kind of missing out on that. Some of our students are at this point. So this is a time to think about that, to talk to people in that field, to do that virtual networking, to see if you can gain some more information and some clarity about whether or not you're on the right path. And on that note, if you have questions about whether you're on the right path or want to get the conversation started on how you can maybe add to your skill set or look at some different avenues or opportunities, making an appointment at the UNT Career Center is a great step. We're doing our appointments via phone or Zoom chat right now, but we're happy to talk to you about what your plan was before this, how you think it might change after, and just generally helping you plan for a new future. Whether it's a slight adjustment from the future you'd always envisioned or a completely seismic shift into a new direction. That's what we're here for, and we're happy to do that. This has been a pretty heavy presentation so far, but I do want to talk a little bit about some things that we can be hopeful about, some things that might bring us a little comfort or be reassuring during these uncertain times. First and foremost, humanity has an incredible history and track record of adapting and overcoming. We've faced greater challenges than COVID-19 before, and we have overcome those. And we'll find a way to get through this as well. It may also be helpful to think that you're not in this alone. Every college student in America is facing the same challenges. And you guys have a massive support network. Every staff member, administrator, faculty member, president, chancellor, board of regents at every college in America right now is working on finding solutions to these problems. And we're all sharing our successes and our failures and trying to collectively collaborate and find the best path through this unfortunate situation that we can, the best path for our students that we can possibly help them create. This is also a golden opportunity for honest reflection. Instead of thinking of it as a penalty or, something you have to endure, think about this pause as an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to see where you want to be, to see if the path that you're following is actually taking you where you want to be. If you change your mindset on that, you may find that it motivates you to, do that research, to add those skills to where when you go on the job market, you don't feel uncertain about whether you're going to get a call back. You know that you have the skills and you know you've done the things needed, that you're going to be an in-demand candidate. The ability to adjust, adapt, and overcome will serve you well in all your future professional endeavors. No matter what field you go into, no matter what job you have, if you can solve problems and if you're flexible and you can adapt to new technologies or new work processes, you're going to be a valued employee. And lastly, I know I've said it so many times, you're probably tired of hearing it, but we are in this together 100% all day, every day. And by working together, we will move forward. So here's some basic information about the UNT Career Center. Our phone number, 940-565-2105. You can email us at career.center@unt.edu. And when we return to campus, you'll be able to find us in Suite 202 on the second floor of Sage Hall, which is right next to the Student Union. Our typical business hours, our regular business hours are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We do have drop-in hours. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, those drop-in hours are from 10 a.m. to noon. Tuesday and Thursday, those drop-in hours are 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. My name again is Aaron Anderson. I'm an internship coordinator at the Career Center. You can email me at Aaron, AARON.Anderson, ANDERSON, @UNT.edu.